Greetings and salutations on a Saturday morning, although it's not the Saturday morning everywhere. I learned from interaction in Karen V. Chin's communities that sometimes it was morning where I am, but it was already the day before is passed and they're into the next day on the other side of the world or something. It just really confused me as far as when I was supposed to post answers to the various interactions and stuff. So I just welcome the people here today to the Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties, and we've got more Smarties than usual in the green room, and we're going to introduce them all to you in a minute. But I wanted to focus first of all on saying I'm really happy that people have joined us from all over the world, and I appreciate you coming and being with us today. So just let's take a brief look at who's around. Barbara Quick's around. Johan Kleis is here. Gary Whalen's out there. Yay, Gary. And Lon McClure, we were talking about this because we saw you. The original unicorn is out watching us today. So I'm glad to have you. And you never know what could happen with the Smarties today. And that's about it. Randy Smith is out there. Hi, Randy. And so if you're out there and I haven't mentioned your name, drop a little post there and just tell us hi, tell us where you come from, and join in the fun today. And my name is Roland, and I'm sponsor of the show, and R&D Hotline is my company. If you have a question about internet marketing, call the hotline. Now, the secondary lineup for me is two people in the mix of the strip that you're looking at. And the first one I would like to introduce is Molly Youngblood Geiger. Molly, say hi.
Hi everyone, my name is Molly Youngblood Geiger, and I am located in Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right for You, and I participate with Google on several different platforms. I'm currently a Google Rising Star. I'm also a Google Partners Community Ambassador, and I'm a Google Small Business Community Advisor. Thanks for having me, Roland.
And of course, Molly joins us pretty much every week, and I consider her an official co-host of the show. And um, I just call her the Google lady because I can't remember all those things that pertain to what she does. So anyway, thank you, Molly. Now, furthermore, I have another co-host that's been with us. It's been a solid 10 months, and that's religiously solid to me. I mean, I can depend upon her to be here. So she must be having fun because she keeps coming back. I can't seem to get rid of her. She takes a week off now and then, but we're really glad to have her back. Karen Vichin, say hi.
Hey, Roland. It hasn't been 10 months. It's been like
Yes, it's
a
been 10 months.
it's been a long time, man. I guess for Google Plus and the internet world, that is a long time. I don't know what that means, but I keep coming back. I'm a marketing consultant out here in San Francisco, California, and I am so happy to have Melanie and Sheila and Ros and John to be on the show today because Melanie and Sheila really do a great service. I think the show's been on for what, 2 years now? 3 years?
One and a half.
1.5. Okay. See, it's kind of like dog ears, right? It just seems like a lot longer than it is. Because I can't wait to get into this topic because Melanie, you do an awesome job.
Oh, thank you.
Dog ears. I don't know if I've ever heard that expression applied quite that in that manner. Anyway, I'm not going to waste any time because this show is only an hour long. So our primary guest today is Meloney Hall. She runs her own show called Lights, Camera, HOA, and she's got some other people too. So we're going to give it shortly to Melanie, and then we're going to introduce the rest of her people. Then we're going to dig deeper into who they are. So Melanie, say hi, please.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Roland, for having all of us on today. This is terrific. I'm Meloney Hall, and I created the Lights Camera HOA weekly broadcast, firstly to satisfy my own needs because I could not get to practice with anyone. And there weren't a lot of shows going on at that time where I could say, can I be on your show? So that was the premise for it. And I'm so happy that is still running, and we have our new co-host Ros, and John's our new wrap-up, John's wrap-up, and Sheila is our anchor. She's our anchor. She's been around since, I think, just 2 weeks shy of the beginning of everything.
Well, we should have just handed you the proverbial center stage, and had you introduce them all individually. I think I'm going to do that actually. You can maybe take that a little bit slower, and just go ahead and introduce the people as you did, and then we're going to give them a few minutes to respond also. So we've got a little bit better idea who you are, and we want to dig into that more before the show is over. But would you please do me the favor and the honor of introducing your co-hosts?
Thank you. I would be delighted to. Our new co-host is Ros Betts. Ros, and she is from Port Elliot, Australia. Did I say that right, Ros?
You did.
I did. Yay! And she has she joined us in August. Rain Dowell was our co-host for a year, and she moved on as she's growing her small business, and Ros joined us. And Ros is, Ros is probably the one that sacrifices the most in time. Her time zone is so differently from ours, and she brings such unique things to the atmosphere of Lights Camera HOA, and we appreciate her very much. So do I introduce the next one, Roland?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, give Roz a chance to put her voice over the microphone briefly.
Yes, Roz, give your voice on the microphone.
So that's an interesting way of phrasing. Would you like to have a chance to talk?
We're just trying to be creative here.
Yeah, it is. I've got a thing with words lately, and how much what you say can actually mean to other people without you realising the power of what you're saying. So I suppose that's why I am actually picking up more of what people use as their words in phrasing, whatever their intention is, with meaning or not, because sometimes things that are said can be rubbish. Yeah, I'm from Port Elliot in South Australia, so it's the central line of Australia. Currently, at the moment, it would be about 4:45, I suppose, in the morning. Yeah, I've loved it. Starting with Meloney's show as co-host, it's been a great buzz, and getting onto camera as well as the voice over the microphone. Thank you. Yeah.
Good. Let's continue on the lineup.
All right, then next, let's introduce Sheila. Sheila is not a stranger to a lot of people on the HOA scene, and she's merging more into helping people with Blab as well, and Crowdcast. Sheila Strover hails from Cornwall. I almost said Wales because it rhymed. She is known also as the knee guru, and she's a delight to know, and just as I call her, the wing woman and everything good under the sun. That's how I call. That's what I tag her as myself for her. So Sheila, say hi.
Hi everybody. What Melanie not telling you is that when she invited me to be her comment tracker, I'd never comment tracked for anybody ever before. I didn't really have a clue what it was all about. But for some reason I said, okay. And I've been there ever since. So the under the sun came later, I think, Melanie.
Oh, I think you were shining right away, myself.
And just in case anybody wonders, Ros is on a tablet on a 3G network because she's away from home. So she's not only 4 o'clock in the morning, but she's also technologically challenged today. So it's fantastic that she got out of bed and got connected with her telephone line.
I might, for the first time in history, reach out and actually correct something that Sheila said, but it's not actually a correction. It's just a bit of an adjustment. I don't think that Roz is technically challenged. I think she's technically conquering her situation, and she's doing what works best under the conditions that she has, which are not perfect. So congratulations, Roz. You conquered the problem of how to be with us today. And that's not much of a derivation from what you said, but I mean, I see the victory involved, so I wanted to add that. Thank you. Go ahead, Melanie.
Thank you.
And then the newest member and our newest feature is John Jurkiewicz, and he is in Kentucky, just below Ohio, where I'm from, and he is our John's Wrap Up, and he runs Monday Motivation. He has his own website as well, where he counsels people for how to get their career kick-started and motivated about different things. And so what he does for Lights Camera HOA is he summarizes what the show was about, and oh my gosh, he just like puts that little sprinkle of goodness on top of the whole thing, and it's just a great way to wrap things up. John?
Thank you, Melanie. I have the best role on Lights Camera HOA because I get the challenge of taking everything that's been talked about and try to put it into a minute and a half, 2 minutes. That, like you said, put the cherry on top of the sundae. That's the best part to me, to be able to sit and listen and try to develop 4 or 5 different tracks. Oh, maybe I'm going to go this way. No, maybe I'm going to go that way. Now, the challenging part, okay, Melanie knows me better than anybody else here. The challenging part is for me to keep my mouth shut for 25 minutes, okay? Unless before we begin the broadcast in the green room, she'll say, I want you to talk today. Okay? So then I have permission, but there's a lot of times that I think, oh, but usually what I can do is get my own opinion in the wrap-up some way. But it's a real pleasure to be, I think, with 4 people who are so different in the way they approach things, and then there's this divergence that happens when we start the show. So I think we're growing to be more comfortable with one another as times go on. I think anytime you have 4 people in a film strip and trying to engage, it takes a little while, and I think we're getting there. It's fun.
Yeah.
And Sheila doesn't intimidate me anymore. So.
Oh my God, we will spend the rest of this show just on that. How in the world could Sheila possibly intimidate you? Maybe the challenge of intellect, that I can understand, but I mean,
I'll give you a clue, Roland. Sheila's attitude toward many things is give it a go, and so we have to be ready when she says give it a go to give it a go. Because
that's good.
She encourages us to give it a go even when we don't want to give it a go.
I make sure my lower thirds right in my sleep.
That makes sense. Well, an interesting dynamic with the 4 of you, and I know what it's like to have 4 in the green room. We used to, for many months, we had Terry Lee Britton as our 4th. And we had quite an entourage there, or should I call it a menagerie? And I never knew exactly what was going to come out from where. But, 4 brains working and just flowing, and information with 4 different backgrounds and 4 different focus ideas. And it was very interesting. We had a good dynamic also. So, Terry Lee, if you're out there, we salute you. Just wanted to let you know that we appreciated who and what and where and what you brought to the table. So anyway, you have a constituency here that works pretty well. It's really good to know that you've got your hands on the leash for John so that he stays control. I know that he runs his own show, and he's capable of talking and just going for it. So anytime you need him, he's there. But I think it's a good idea to have that wrap-up concept where he collects and kind of sorts out and sifts it down, boils it down to the nitty-gritty, and he delivers the wrap-up at the end. What a great concept. So that's a cool thing.
We like it too.
So Melanie, we're going to bring it back to you in a second here, but I wanted to acknowledge out in the audience we have a few people Nathan Siegel is joining us for the first time from Ensenada, Mexico, Baja, I think Baja, California. And he's a good guy, and he's got his own show developing, and so we'll be hearing more from Nathan. Lon McClure, we said. And David Peterson, I believe he's someone that may be following you, Melanie. I'm not sure. But welcome, David. And let's see who else might be dropping in. Said Johan. Dr. Margaret Aranda. Hi, Dr. Margaret. How you doing today? And that's about it. So we're getting a nice group of people watching, and we've got a nice group of people in the green room, so let's carry on. Melanie, I'm going to hand it back to you. But before we go through the pre-prescribed couple of things that I wanted to ask you as a group, does either Molly or Karen have anything to say, contribute to what's been going on so far, or any questions initially? Go right ahead.
I just quickly like to say or share my experience with Melanie. I have actually met Melanie on Helpouts, which was a platform that Google had a few months ago. I learned about Helpouts through the Google Partners community. They had asked all the ambassadors to sign up because we have product knowledge about Google products like AdWords and analytics. And it was through bumping into Melanie on Helpouts that I suddenly realized the importance of hosting a Hangout and being on Hangout. So I just wanted to share that story with everyone, that's how I bumped into Melanie.
Yes,
Cool.
and I do recall fondly when Molly declined to be on the show when I asked her. She said she was not camera. She was shy in front of the camera, and I thought that makes no sense. But see, it doesn't have to make sense, but because that is such an innate thing everybody has. And look at Molly's on camera now quite often.
Yes.
She's
And
like graduated.
That's why I wanted to share that story, because I think there's a lot of people out there. In fact, I know there's a lot of people out there that they're kind of intimidated, like, oh, I'm camera shy, or I don't like the way I look, or I don't like the way my voice sounds. And I think it really is just about getting out there and doing it, kind of like with Sheila, just give it a go. Just get out there and do it and practice. And I've actually found that I really enjoy Hangouts now. I mean, if you had come to me a couple years ago, I'd have been no way Jose, but I really do enjoy Hangouts, and that's one reason why I really like being on the show.
I'm very proud of you, Molly.
Go ahead, Karen.
I was actually going to share my story. I think I was on the show twice, and Sheila surprisingly did not realize with Rain that I wasn't supposed to be on the show, but somehow I became the secret guest for John for his first time interviewing, if you remember that show. And that was definitely a hoot, because I think I had about 15 minutes to get ready. I just got on. And that was a show of all, I think, a memorable show. And then I think I was on the following week to talk, by myself. But that was 2 fun shows, Melanie.
Okay, so as long as we're testimonializing for the HOA show, Lights Camera HOA, I'll tell you about my experience very briefly, because I've actually been on your show about 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time, it was because Rain had called me up and asked me, would you like to be on this show? It's about newbies, and it's easygoing, and you can be on the show. And I thought, okay, I'll be on the show, because I was a relatively new show host. However, I've been on camera for decades, and I've been behind a microphone for decades, literally. And like 3, unfortunately, to say, probably dates me a little bit. But I'm not afraid of the microphone. I'm not afraid to say that. So people are always saying to me, "Gee, you're so relaxed. You look so at ease and just confident and stuff." That's because I don't give a crap, And it's basically second nature to me now. But it's not because of an ego thing. It's just the comfort zone of having done it so many times. So on the other end of that spectrum is your show that takes newbies that maybe they just got their camera and their microphone, and they've just learned how to do a Skype type of situation and maybe are being introduced to Hangouts, and then along comes this show called Lights, Camera, HOA. So, Melanie, let's go back to you and talk about what the focus of the program is and what your efforts to bring about an opportunity and an environment for newbies on camera.
Um, well, as I mentioned earlier, I felt a need for myself to get more practice, but there wasn't, the problem was I didn't have an avenue to go. So whenever there's a lack in something, that's when you have the opportunity to create the avenue for yourself, or you wait for somebody else to do it. So I said, well, I'll just create the avenue myself, and we'll see if people will join me in doing that. And I knew from the beginning that it is, we are dealing with those who are camera shy. Just like anything else, when you have enough exposure to it, you can get over that. And the best thing to do is when you have exposure to something, rather than having it fear-based, just have it so relaxed. And the topic is always about what the guest can talk about, what the guest, if they're opening a new business, if this is their first time on camera, or whatever. Something that they are the expert in. If it's themselves, how can we disagree with them? We can't say, oh, that's really not you, because it's about them. So the easiest thing for people to address on any platform is about themselves. So that's been a wonderful gateway to do that. And then once they realize that nothing went wrong, as far as they didn't lose their job because they came on the show, they didn't lose their boyfriend or girlfriend because they went on the show, nothing happened, nothing wrong happened in their karma of things. It was just an experience to add to their abilities to shine and let others know that they are out there. And we try to keep it fun and lighthearted. Sometimes we do talk about serious things, but it's just this plethora of to just get people to get on camera, but they have to be ready to get on camera, because we don't want it would be counteractive for us to have someone on camera who was terrified and just like stood there like a scared rabbit, just and you constantly had a fish, but we want it, we need
that
people,
again, Melanie.
yeah. Just to get them, they have to be mentally ready to be seen, be camera ready. So whatever that means to them, if they want to wear makeup, if they don't want to wear makeup, if they want to wear a hat, if they want to wear whatever is camera ready for them. That's the premise. And we have all seen so many transformations. It is just remarkable. It's such a feel-good thing to do.
That is a great lineup of concepts. And I know as people are listening to this, they're saying, I really should try it. Yeah, I mean to. I will in the future. One of these days I'm going to get my gumption together and I'm going to be in front of the camera. By golly, I'm going to do it. And then they sit there and they come back and watch the show next week. And so I know that they're generating a lot of build-up and confidence level to make the decision to engage, to try it one time. And I know that it's something to overcome. By the way, we have Susan Joy, who just joined us, and welcome, and glad to have you there. But if we have any kind of focus today, what's going on, I want to encourage people to get started in their internet marketing, and that's always what we're trying to do. But the thing is, the reason that your show is so important today is that video is the way. It's the number one way. I mean, 80% above everything else that you could do, get going with an HOA. So if people are watching this and they like what they've been seeing in this show and your show, by the way, you should watch Melanie's show, and we'll be posting the link to Lights Camera HOA. I also just recently posted all the links to not just her show and I mean the contact points, but basically to every member that's joined us today from her own show. I put the Google Plus connections and those things for each of the members. So if you have questions for anybody in the panel or my guests or my co-host or me, contact us. So that the whole idea of this is not to broadcast a show and publish it to show everybody as a one-way broadcast. We're not just broadcasting, we're interacting with you in the audience and the people who are listening. And one of the things that I like about Hangouts is it extends past the live show. You can watch this in replay, and you can still communicate with the people in and out of the show, and basically keep a conversation and a dialogue going that's live even after the show is no longer live. So I really love the format. And
Roland, I was going to say, suggest though, it's not, I think it also for people get really intimidated by having quote unquote a show every week, because it does take a lot of work to do, to the prep and the setup and
Sure.
and all that. So a lot of businesses don't necessarily have the time to do a show, but I think what really should be focused on is to get comfortable in front of the camera, because as you said, video and mobile are so important now that in order to get your message across, you got to be comfortable talking in front of the camera. And I think shows like for Meloney, she's always looking for guests to practice. And I think Susan Joy had a comment where she's saying, you know, is the show mostly for business owners or entrepreneurs, or is it mostly personal? And I think, Meloney, you could definitely answer that question for her.
It's for absolutely anyone. If you are a grandmother, let's say, if you are a grandmother and your grandchildren say, Grandma, come on, will you Skype with me? I can't. Well, because Grandma doesn't know who to practice with. She doesn't know. So Grandma needs a place to learn how to do that and just relax. So there's a lot of different reasons why people want to be on camera. It could be very personal. It could be, business related. It could be they know that they're applying for jobs, and some of the requirements now are you have to apply, you have to have interviews, on a video call because they're located somewhere else, and it saves everyone time and money if they interview you on the camera. So there's lots of reasons why people, this is just part of the thing. It's just like everyone usually grows up riding a bike. They learn how to ride a bike because it's beneficial. Some people haven't learned how to ride a bike because it's scary. They've fallen down a few times and they say, forget it. I only have so much skin on my body to get, but so I think it's just as important. This is becoming such a normal expectation right now, regardless of where you are in your life, to be seen on camera live so that you can interact with your own family, interact with future job, in your career, anything at all. It's handy, it's just expected.
Yeah, and I think also for Sheila, it's not just Hangouts. Also, too, you should be also comfortable with the different video channels, right? In terms of communicating. So I know you're really getting into Blab and to, I think, Periscope, and you want to talk about how that is also another avenue besides Google Hangouts to get comfortable in front of a camera.
Well, we could get into Blab and Periscope, but we'll soon be out of time, and I want to focus on their show more in particular. So I'm going to steer us back to that. But in the meantime, Lon McClure had a little comment there that you're going to recognize as very, very valid. I know that fish look, as he says. So I think the fish look you're referring to is something similar to the deer in the headlights. And so, yeah, we all are very, very commonly aware of that, and we've probably all been through it. I'm sure that back 3 decades ago, I went through the same thing. But, it's probably just a matter of doing it. One of the things that I wanted to stress was that the more you try it, the more fun you're going to have. You discover as you get going that it's actually fun. One of the things that Nathan Siegel, who's watching today, said we got into the first HOA, and he said, "Gee, I'm getting more and more used to this." He goes, "What am I saying? I'm having fun right now." I mean, it was the realization that he's actually enjoying himself on camera
Mhm.
at a very early stage in his
Yeah.
development. So if you try that and you just release your thoughts and your attachment to, gee, I've got a fear factor here. It's a challenging thing because most of the time you realize if you try it, if you just make that so-called leap, and whether it's a leap of faith or whether it's a leap of desperation and panic, I don't care what it is, but when you make the leap, you realize, man, the water's not so deep and it's not so hot and it's not so cold. It's really pretty good. And you realize that it was a lot easier. And another thing that happens is you realize, wow, the time went by really fast. So it's not so challenging after you're on the other side. It's you looking at it before you engage that looks so ominous. So we try to get people started with their internet marketing and stuff. And by golly, if you get involved with Hangouts and conquer that, your internet marketing is going to be that much easier because you've got your guts together and your gumption up, and you've learned how to pump up your intention mode so that you actually take the step. Because nothing happens without you taking action. So Gary Whalen says here, no strings in my ears. So I will stick with spouting off online during the show. Gary, we see you. I mean, digitally, we see that you're out there. We appreciate your comments. So stick with us, and we'll see how it goes. And I appreciate you being there. Now, I would like to focus on what your development of the show is and what you like to go to. But maybe what we can do, for one thing, is we cover the concept of getting used to the camera and getting over that initial challenge. I would like to see what your constituents have to say about, well, what's the one clue you would give people in order to overcome this challenge. So I would like to turn you loose on that.
Ross.
Go ahead. Anybody
Yes.
just jump in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm going to
Yeah,
call on
I
Ross.
will, because as you were talking then, Roland, I sort of thought, well, it really was. I don't know whether I had that fish look or deer look or whatever, but I think it was about a year ago that I did the jump in with Meloney's show, and that it was the ease with which the help was there as I'm trying to find out some of the controls, because I didn't know how to do the Hangouts on air fully even at that time. And it was okay. I got through that, and it was only the half hour. So, it was just, a big deep breath and relax. And, okay, I'm talking on live, I suppose TV's what's in the mind, because mine's an old frame set of TV's what you used to sit in front of as a screen. Even though I've been in front of computer screens for 30-ish years, it is that different concept when you're behind the camera and it's out there to the world. It has become fun. I really look forward to actually for me it's the Tuesday mornings for the Lights Camera HOA. And I was so pleased that I was asked to be the co-host, and I've even had the couple of sessions where I've done the hosting. And it's fun. And what I'd just say to anyone is give it a go, because the best way to learn is do it. So, and it has been the help behind the scenes that's really boosted that. And I know I've built in confidence in being in front of a camera. And it really is it's just fun. I love it.
So you're going to second what Sheila says and just give it a go. That's great, because it's great advice, and as casual as we can be about, just give it a go. It seems a little bit easier than saying, take the challenge, conquer the bear, beat the beast. It's like, it ain't no big thing really, but it is in your mind. Just as most of the obstacles holding us back from everything in life, is the monster in our mind is much bigger than the reality of what the situation is. So, Sheila, what do you think? Just give it a go?
Just give it a go. I think I've always thought that a solo job is very hard for everybody, for the guests, for the show host. I think that teamwork is really paramount to having a nice, easy, relaxed time. So I was just chatting to Molly in the sidebar here that one of the things that used to make me very nervous, and I'm sure made everybody very nervous, was you didn't know where that invitation was going to come from. You didn't know if your telephone was going to ring. You didn't know if a button was going to pop up. And that's what I've tried to do, is just communicate with a person a little while beforehand and say, look, this is how we're going to do it. Are you happy with that? Do you want to test it? And that makes it much easier, because if you've got anxiety about the show, you don't want anxiety about how you're going to get on the show. So I think a co-host or a wing person should just make it a happy experience for the guests to actually come on.
These are very, very good points, Sheila, because there is a bit of an education that comes along with participating in HOAs in general, and there is to this date, a largely unwritten protocol as far as the interaction, and it's just a really good idea for people to remember. Ping someone and text message them first. Agree that it's time to get involved with your HOA, whether it's 2 people or a group venture or an HOA live, and then engage and start your video chat. But do a text chat first and make sure it's all congenial with all parties concerned. It's great advice. So, John, let's drag you into this and see what you have to say. What would your bit of advice be to newbies?
First of all, I've got a little bit of a different perspective than Ros and Sheila and Melanie do. I've never met a camera or a microphone I don't like. Okay.
Oh yeah,
and,
but you're an egotist, so it makes it easy.
And I admit it.
I'm just kidding.
And no, because that actually makes my point. I think the folks who host well are authentic, and they're themselves. And I'll use somebody like Michael Daniels as an example. You know, Michael's a top 20 contributor to Google in the world. He just got back from San Francisco, where he saw all kinds of amazing and wonderful things. And Michael's a normal old person. He's himself. And that's what attracts people to him. He's warm, he's engaging, and he's very helpful. And that's part of his personality. So I think one of the things that we have to get over is Ros talked a little bit about television, and I think no matter where you're at, you've been exposed to TV in some form or fashion, and you see it as acting. And so initially when you get into this venue, you start to think, oh my gosh, you know, fortunately I don't have hair, so I don't have to fool with that, okay? But people say, you know, I've got to be this and I've got to be that, and the camera has to hit my face just right, and, you know, gosh, I wish I had a teleprompter in the whole 9 yards. I think the people that do very, very well are the people who are simply themselves and simply kind of project that confidence they've gained over time in doing this. I think they engage more people and they invite more people to say, hey, I can do this. I can get on there and be myself. You know, so I don't think any of you here are old enough to remember live TV, but I am. Okay?
Oh, I am.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I remember live
Of course
TV.
we are, John. Don't be insulting. Okay,
Well, none of
some
you look
us
that
who
old,
remember.
okay? I remember live TV, and the thing that made live TV so great was you had those slip-ups, and you had those things that you remembered about what you were watching, and I think that's a really great thing about Hangouts.
Thank you.
I'm done.
I love that.
Don't be done,
but-
John.
But, you know, the people are commenting out there, you guys are having too much fun. That was Lon, by the way. And he also said another comment here, which I will bring up. He says the great thing about LCHOA, in other words, your show, is that it prepares everyone to hop in whenever the opportunity presents. Business or personal, it's a great way to get comfortable. And I agree with you, Lon, and one of the things is I was I'm doing that myself. Sometimes you catch me and I've shaved today, and sometimes it's been, I got out of bed and I went to the computer. So I was helping Nathan Siegel put together part of his show the other day, and then I realized, my God, I've got a Woody Woodpecker thing happening with my hair there, and I didn't see that because it was kind of cutting off the top of my head the way I had the camera position. So I said, okay, well, I got to fix this because I can't live with that. So I put the headset down and I combed my hair straight and fixed it a little bit, live recording on HOA. But I don't care. It's like when you sit there before the camera starts rolling and you're wondering about what if this, what if that, what if, is this okay? Is that okay? Is my color right? Is the lighting good? You can worry yourself to death, but look at it, the 7 of us are here today from all parts of the world, and we just showed up. And this is one given hour of one given day during the week, and it's fine. It's Sheila, come on. She's throwing me private messages in the chat, and okay. But anyway, it's one of these things where we get over our self-consciousness and just say whatever, give it a go, as Sheila says, and you're going to discover there's a lot more success to have by going and doing it than by worrying about whether it's going to come out right. So another statement by Susan Joy Schlief. Please phonetically spell out your last name, Susan, and tell us how to pronounce that, okay? So that I don't have to, every hangout that we see you, I don't mispronounce it. But anyway, she says, that's a great learning opportunity that you're offering people to learn new digital skills. I hadn't thought about the need for that since my show is more focused on small business owners and professionals. And Susan, I think that it's great that you're not focused on the if, ands, buts, and the question mark and the details of how you look on camera. You're focusing on what you want to focus on, and that's the business owners, and that's your concepts. So you got over a major hurdle that a lot of people cannot get over, and I think that we could probably address that for another hour or two. But Molly and Karen, what do you think about these things that we're saying?
Yeah, I think Hangouts are great. I think Google came up with this technology to, not only impart information from themselves, but to help people connect. My viewpoint of Hangouts is that it kind of levels the playing field for small businesses or people just individually. As you mentioned, we're all hanging out from different parts of the world, and it's something that, like Sheila pointed out, as long as you plan it in advance and everybody's on point and ready to hang out, it's a great way to communicate with people. I would add to that Hangouts has a lot of benefits for businesses in terms of SEO, search engine optimization. If you use certain keywords within the title, it will actually get optimized for search. So that's something that I just wanted to share. One of the things I really like about Hangouts, and this is something Ronnie Benser talks about, is the legacy of it, meaning it's one thing to be a part of the live presentation, but what I really like about the Hangouts is if you have a certain subject that you are talking about, like search engine optimization or AdWords or whatever, as long as you include those keywords, the description within the title is going to be there for other people who are searching for that subject because those keywords actually get indexed.
Mm-hmm.
To keep in mind as well is it's not just about necessarily the live presentation, but the legacy of the Hangout, and that other people who are not attending the live Hangout will have the opportunity to watch it as well.
Yeah.
Cool. We had a bit of a Molly freeze there for a minute. I don't know if everyone else saw that, but everyone was agreeing with what you said, and all of a sudden your picture froze, and there were these 5 heads in the film strip all going. so we were with you, Molly, and I appreciate your emphasis on that because we are not aware. I say we because generally speaking, most of the people, the masses, I can relate to. And we are not aware of how much good and how much effect and how much magnetism video has for our SEO. And I'm telling you, It's the thing I've been saying since day one with the Smarties. And that is, if you have a website, you have a Google Plus, and you're doing Hangouts, and you're doing YouTube videos, and you do it right, that's most of what you need for page one search rankings. So I'll just throw it out there again, and that's a subject that we could pursue at another date because it's way off the subject. Well, but
Hey,
not so
Roland,
much off the subject.
just a quick statistic, and I just want to throw this out there. Google Brand Labs about a month and a half ago shared with the world that video marketing is anticipated to increase by 74% by the year 2017. So I think that's an important statistic to know, that Google themselves is saying, hey, video, mobile, that's where we're going with this. So.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, basically back to square one on the whole concept of what today's Hangout is all about. If you get involved with Google Hangouts and learn how to be a show host, not even a show host, just get comfortable with a camera, you're light years ahead of the average person marketing a business. And you're going to be, you're on the threshold and at the doorway of how to best promote your own business through Google Hangouts and video. So what a doorway this is. And if you just came back in to the concept of promoting a business, or you're just starting a new business, or you've had one that doesn't have enough traction for you, or you're trying to expand your business, this is the place to start. And if you conquer this, you're going to conquer a lot of different hurdles all at once. So, Karen, what do you think?
Actually, I was going to reiterate what John was saying, is that to get comfortable in front of the camera, to actually show your personality, I think is key. And it's back to that whole video, video marketing of your business, of yourself, of your personal brand. And that Google basically gives us the tools to, I mean, it does definitely, as Molly's playing field, because we live in an age now where we have all this technology where we can actually compete with much larger companies with much larger advertising and marketing budgets, because we have all this technology, literally in front of us now. And it would be crazy not to use it and not to know how to use it. And the idea that what Meloney provides weekly on her Monday show is that just that initial first step to get you in front of that camera, to get you going. And once you take that big jump off in the deep end into the pool, right, you either sink or swim, and most likely you're going to swim because you don't want to drown. That it's a great opportunity to, as you say, Roland, to get ahead of being just one step above everybody else, because the fact is you're comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's great news, and it's the message that I've been basically delivering for about a year now. Marketing Smarties is going to have a one-year anniversary next November 7th, and that marks approximately the one-year date for Molly to be with me on the show here.
Wow.
And back when I had trouble calling it a show, I hated the word because the show was too definitive on like something like a publication where it's all one way. I'm delivering. We're going to have a show today. And to me, that really didn't describe what we do. Hangouts has become a thing that describes something beyond the show, and that is the engagement factor and the interaction. And Karen, you said something.
Isn't it December 7th, your show?
Nope.
Was it November?
Actually, it was in November, the month of November, that Molly joined us. It might have been in the middle, or might have been the end, but it was very early there, because it was like, well, this is not about the Smarties, so let's talk about something else. What I wanted to say was that, Karen, you brought up a term that we should all be focused on in order to blast it out of our consciousness, and that is this: competition. If you consider yourself competition and that you have to compete, you're going to see everybody as your competition and think to yourself, there's no way I can compete. But that is just not true, because when you get involved in Hangouts, you're on the equal level playing field. And I'm telling you, a lot of the corporations aren't even using this yet, but let alone small businesses are just now getting involved because they realize, wow, this low investment, high engagement, good quality contacts, great return on my investment of time. And the idea with Hangouts is to build a relationship and build a community. The whole focus is to build relationships, build communities, and nothing does it better than having an interactive interface as we do. By the way,
I also think too, Roland, is basically if you get in front of the camera, you do this on a weekly basis or however you do it in front of a camera, that you build on you showcase your personality as you're talking, whatever your subject matter is. And people actually, it's true, right? People only want to do, work with people or deal with people if they're comfortable with, right? So again, here's another opportunity about why you're in front of the camera, to showcase who you are, and that way that individual on the other side is making that judgment of whether they want to work with you or not.
Precisely. And if your heart is pure in the first place and your intentions are good, and you show that to the world via video, and especially interactive video, because if you're on spot like this, then anything can happen, right? So the most genuine you has an opportunity to come through. So they use words like genuine and authentic, and nobody knows what that means unless people like you in your HOA. If they like you in your series, then you're probably being pretty genuine and pretty authentic. And otherwise, you cannot hide that on camera. And there are plenty of shows that I just cannot stand to watch. And and just to let you know, I've been meaning to have the Lights Camera HOA crew on this show and interview them and you, Melanie, for several months. But I'm glad I waited till now because we have the right combination of people sitting before us now. So let's address what your show is geared towards and going for in the future, and how can we best help you?
Well, we're continuing on. We may have an increased attention going to refreshing people's memory what HOAs are, Hangouts on Air are. We have Periscope is out there, Blab is out there. People are, they do the Skype already. But when you think about it, Hangouts on Air, that has been the proving ground. And if there wasn't the success happening on Hangouts on Air, I am really sure that the Meerkat and the Periscope and the Blab would not have taken hold so much, because there had to be a proving ground where, wow, this works. People can get on camera and interact and engage with each other and see each other's personalities. So as each platform is just a different flavor of ice cream in the ice cream store, and you use what you would like to use it as. We know that there's still going to be a need of people who want to be on camera and who do want to learn the Hangouts on Air system so that they can present themselves very, very professionally with high quality video that automatically loads up to YouTube. It's just going to be so the focus will be more enhanced. That's what I perceive that will happen in 2016.
Very good. And we are literally approaching the time where we have to wind down and not covering anywhere near what we could have. But I think that we've covered the very most important thing, and that is to kind of get over yourself and just take a chance beyond your shyness and your anxieties and just try a video. And I'm telling you that Lights Camera HOA, the show itself, is a great place to start. This is a great place to start to interacting and just enjoying a hangout, but that is a great place to start to actually be on camera, be live, and to test out the waters. And let's face it, if you just can't stand yourself on camera, you can go away and never come back, and the whole world might be better off for it. But if you're trying to market yourself, if you're trying to develop something, or even if you're just wanting to have fun, you ought to give this show a try. So I'm encouraging my constituents to follow the people in the Lights Camera HOA show. We'll post the links again momentarily, and we'll bring that to everybody to see. But meanwhile, we've learned how to say Susan Joy's last name, and her last name is pronounced Schlief. Now, did you get that? An SH sound. and a leaf at the end. Sleep.
Sleep.
So thank you, Joy. And she says, video is great for SEO, but Hangouts are even better than video. And I agree, because video you can watch and is one way, but HOAs are two-way. And Lon, his little bit of wisdom says, sometimes a show is just a show. Okay, well, I hope mine is not just a show, but I could very much appreciate the fact that we have them, and we're encouraging you to be on them yourself. So does anybody have any last-minute wrap-ups? And if not, I would like to give the tradition over to John, because he's probably connecting notes all during this, so he can wrap it up, and I give him a chance to do his thing.
You're on duty, John.
Unaccustomed as I am to doing this, there's always a font of wisdom stored away someplace. You know, I think there's a real continuity, and the one thing that I think really makes a successful hangout, you saw here today and you see on Lights Camera HOA, and that's a group of people who enjoy what they're doing. And I really think you need to enjoy this in order to be successful. If you want to go to a webinar on how to produce a better widget, I guess you can go and you can sit and you can listen to it and you can walk away with content. I've always looked at Hangouts as being dimensional, that they bring character, they bring flavor, and they bring a real sense of hope and achievement. One of the things I've noticed, too, about successful Hangouts is that the people involved in them aren't these success stories from the moment they came out of the womb till the time they were talking to you. They were folks who struggled a little bit. They were folks who failed, folks who've had challenges and went through life. And that just increases the dimension of what they're doing. So what I walk away with today to kind of wrap this all up is this is a wonderful group of people, and to your audience and to those who are going to see this on YouTube and wherever else we choose to share and embed it, and there are more wonderful people within these communities. You just need to learn to get to use them. I met a young lady who asked me to do a survey over on LinkedIn, and she happened to notice I was part of the Google Plus community, and she said, "Oh, my husband told me you don't want to fool with that Hangout thing." So I said, "Give me a half hour." 2 weeks later, she called me and said, "I want to set up my own Hangout. Can I be the host, and would you come in?" And now she's getting ready to use it in her coaching practice. Okay? See, I think that's a big win, and it's a win because we enjoy doing it. So that's my 15 cents worth.
That's cool, and I'm glad you didn't limit it at 2 cents. So
Me too.
yeah, John, you basically said one thing. This is really a cohesive group of people, and they're all hearts are in the right place. We're having a lot of fun, and that's part of the key to this whole thing. And another thing is this: I don't care what your business is or what you're promoting. If you don't produce a show that's interesting to the people and maybe having fun in some way or another, I know that when I'm learning something critical that's going to affect my business or what I'm doing, that's fun to me. And so whether we're laughing and giggling or whether we're just going satisfied, so glad I learned this, we have to have fun. And if you're involved in something that you love doing, it's even more fun. So I do encourage you not to try to get on HOAs to sell somebody else's product that you really don't give a crap about, but sell yourself for your own sake and your own purposes and the things that you stand for and the things associated with what your goals are. And it's going to work in an HOA because you are going to be genuine and authentic because you just really can't help yourself. So I just threw out a lasso to see if Gary was in the audience, and I literally sent him the link to the green room. Now I did this once before, and we found Gary in with us, so I'm inviting him in. And our show is just about over, so our official discussion is over. But the reason I did this is because we've been several of us have been assisting Gary to learn how to use Hangouts, and he actually joined us in the green room last Saturday, and it was really fun to have him in there, and he enjoyed himself too. So if Gary can do it, any of you can do it. Simple as that. And I'm telling you, The guy is very, very courageous to keep at it for so long because technologically there are a few little hurdles to get through. So all I'm saying is that if Gary can do it, you can do it. And well, it looks like we're just about out of time and over the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for being with us. Also, since we're all going to be hanging out because we can't tear ourselves away, we're having so much fun. Uh, you can add your questions, which I should have done earlier in the broadcast. We should have added the opportunity for people to ask questions of the people in the green room. And if you have questions for Melanie or Roz or Sheila or John, please ask in the comment stream, and we'll make sure that they are attended to and answered. But also, go to their program and watch the show and consider being on Lights, Camera, HOA. So I want to thank our constituents, my show co-hosts, Molly and Karen, and also all of our guests today, Melanie, Roz, Sheila, and John, for having just a lot of fun with the Saturday morning marketing Smarties, and we're going to say good day for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care now.